Have you ever noticed something strange? The more deeply you think, the quieter the room becomes, the more clearly you see, the less people seem interested in listening, and at some point, you start wondering, is something wrong with me? It's not in your head, and it's not because you're arrogant, antisocial, or disconnected. There's a profound psychological reason why deep thinkers often feel isolated. And once you understand it, your entire relationship with people and with yourself changes forever. Stay with me, because this might be one of the most validating things you ever hear. When you stand next to someone who is physically strong, you might admire them. When you meet someone incredibly wealthy, you might feel a pang of envy. But when you encounter someone who thinks deeply, something entirely different happens. Psychologists call this the mirror effect. A deep thinker doesn't just bring new ideas into a room. Unintentionally, they act as a mirror, reflecting back what others don't want to see, their own unexamined assumptions, their hidden blind spots, their intellectual limits. Even if you don't say a single word, your presence alone can highlight the intellectual comfort zones of others. And people, as a general rule, do not forgive mirrors easily. This isn't about you trying to show off or be superior. It's an unconscious reaction from others. They don't see you. They see a reflection of their own intellectual insecurities. And that reflection makes them deeply uncomfortable. It's a quiet, invisible force that pushes you away, leaving you wondering what you did wrong. The answer is nothing. You simply showed up as yourself. So, why does intelligence feel so threatening? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Strength, money, beauty, these are largely seen as external advantages. They're things people have. But intelligence, that's internal. It's deeply tied to our sense of identity. When someone challenges how you think, even gently, they aren't just questioning an idea. On a subconscious level, it feels like they are questioning who you believe you are. And that triggers a powerful, primal response: discomfort, defensiveness, and ultimately, withdrawal. It's not because the deep thinker is wrong. In fact, it's often because they are right. Or at least they're getting close to a more complex truth. Depth destabilizes certainty. Most people build their lives on a foundation of simple certainties. It helps them navigate the world. When you come along and show that the foundation might have cracks, you aren't seen as helpful. You're seen as a threat to their entire structure. The easiest way to deal with that threat isn't to examine the cracks. It's to get rid of the person pointing them out. That's why you feel the cold shoulder. It's a defense mechanism, not against you, but against the destabilizing power of deep thought itself. Neuroscience explains this phenomenon even further. When people feel intellectually inferior or challenged, a part of the brain called the amygdala activates. This is the brain's ancient threat detector. It is the same region that lights up when you see a snake or stand on the edge of a cliff. Why would a conversation trigger a danger response? Because for most of human history, our survival didn't depend on being the most brilliant person in the tribe. It depended on belonging to the tribe, being different, challenging the group's consensus, or being seen as a disruptive force could lead to ostracism. And for our ancestors, being rejected by the group was a death sentence. So, our brains evolved to prioritize certain things over others: comfort over truth, agreement over insight, and familiarity over depth. Your deep thinking, your desire to go beyond the surface, inadvertently threatens the ancient, hardwired need for social harmony and belonging. The brain's alarm bells go off, not because you are dangerous, but because the asterisk implications of your thinking are. It's a biological impulse to retreat to the safety of the herd. This isn't a new problem. This exact pattern repeats itself throughout all of human history. Socrates, who did nothing but ask questions to make people think, was forced to drink poison and executed by his own city. Galileo was imprisoned for daring to suggest that the Earth revolved round the sun, a truth that threatened the established order. Nikola Tesla, one of history's most brilliant inventors, died poor and forgotten. His visionary ideas dismissed as fantasy. Vincent van Gogh, whose art now sells for hundreds of millions, was completely ignored and ridiculed in his lifetime. The list goes on and on. These figures weren't punished because they were wrong. They were punished because they were early. Society rarely rewards insight in the present moment. It only celebrates it decades or centuries later, once the ideas are no longer dangerous or disruptive. So remember, intelligence isn't feared because people think it's false. It's feared because it's disruptive. It challenges the status quo, and the status quo always fights back today. In our modern world, this problem has been amplified 1,000 times over. Our entire information ecosystem is designed to work against deep thinking. Social media algorithms reward simplicity and outrage, not nuance and reflection. Outrageous, confident statements spread like wildfire, while thoughtful, nuanced discussions die in silence. In this environment, confidence almost always outperforms depth. People don't follow those who make them think deeply. They follow those who make thinking unnecessary by providing simple, black and white answers. This is why shallow certainty feels so much safer and more popular than thoughtful doubt. It's easier to be loud and wrong than quiet and contemplative. And it's why so many deep thinkers feel profoundly alone, even in a world more connected than ever. The loneliness isn't about a lack of people. It's about a lack of resonance. So, if you've ever felt isolated for thinking too much, if you find most conversations to be painfully surface level, if you constantly feel like you have to pretend to be less than you are just to connect with people, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not broken. You are not arrogant. You are not weird. You are simply operating on a different layer of awareness. You're seeing the code behind the game, the structure behind the facade, the questions behind the answers. And that can be a very lonely place to be. But your experience isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign that you're evolving. Depth has always been rare. And anything rare is, by its very nature, often misunderstood. Your journey is not a common one, but that doesn't make it wrong. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt quieter as you grew wiser? If you have, leave a comment below and share a piece of your story. You might be surprised to find out you're not as alone as you think. Thanks for watching.